Assalamu alaikum. I hope all of you are doing well. Today we are going to learn about the Bohr's atomic theory from chapter number 2. But before starting our today's lesson, I request you all to open your notebooks and hold your pencils in your hands so that you can note down the important points. These are the learning objectives of our today's lesson. Students, if you recall your memory, then in the previous lesson we have discussed about the Rutherford atomic model and its two defects. The first defect was electron while revolving around the nucleus continuously emit energy, as you can see in this image, and ultimately falls in the nucleus. It would collapse the atomic structure. The second defect was because of continuous loss of energy, atom would form continuous spectrum, but it was not true. True in reality, atom forms line spectrum. These drawbacks of Rutherford atomic model were removed by Niels Bohr in 1913. He formulated a new explanation and a new theory which was consistent with Rutherford atomic model. He sorted out the defects of Rutherford atomic model by using Max Planck's quantum theory. So students, before discussing Bohr's atomic theory, let's first discuss about the Planck's quantum theory, which was proposed by the Max Planck. According to the Planck, light is not emitted continuously. It is emitted or absorbed in the form of packets of energy, and these packets of energy are called the quantas. On the basis of these postulates, Bohr formulated a new theory. It was a modification of Rutherford's atomic theory, and it nicely explains the observed line spectrum. So students, let's discuss the main postulates of Bohr's atomic theory one by one. According to the first postulate, the electron in an atom revolves around the nucleus in one of the circular orbits. Each orbit has a fixed energy, so each orbit is also called a energy level. To understand this statement, just look at this diagram of an atom. Here in the center, nucleus is present, and around the nucleus, electrons are revolving in circular paths, and these circular paths are called the orbits. And each orbit has a fixed energy, so they are also called as energy levels. This postulate is important because it removes the drawback of Rutherford atomic model. According to the Rutherford, atom collapsed due to the continuous loss of energy, whereas Bohr said energy of orbit is fixed, so it would not collapse. So this is the first postulate. According to the second postulate of Bohr atomic theory, the energy of electron in an orbit is proportional to the distance from the nucleus. The further the electron is from the nucleus, the more energy it has. To understand this statement, just look at this diagram of an atom. Here in the center, nucleus is present, and around the nucleus, three orbits are present, N1, N2 and N3. Here N1 has the lowest distance from the nucleus, as you can see over here, so it has the lowest energy. Whereas N3 has the highest distance from the nucleus, so it has the highest energy. So let's suppose that the energy value of N1 is 5, energy value of N2 is 10, energy value of N3 is 15. These are just supposed values for your understandings, not actual values. Here this arrow indicates the increasing energy of orbits. According to the third postulate, the electrons revolve only those orbits for which the angular momentum of the electron is an integral multiple of h over 2 pi. Here h is a Planck's constant and its value is 6.626 into 10 raised to power minus 34 joule second. Whereas angular momentum is equal to mvr. Here m is a mass, v is a velocity and r is a radius of an electron. So mvr is equals to nh over 2 pi. In this equation, n is equals to number of orbits, and if we put the value of n in this equation, then we get the angular momentum for the first 4 orbits as h over 2 pi, 2h over 2 pi, 3h over 2 pi and 4h over 2 pi. Postulate 4. Electron in a particular orbit doesn't radiate energy. Let's suppose that the electron is present in orbit number 6 and its energy will remain constant until it changes the orbit. Now number 1. Electron will emit energy when it falls into the lower energy orbit. To understand this, just look over here. Here electron is present in the orbit number 6, which is a higher energy orbit. Now the electron moves from this high energy orbit to orbit number 1, which is a lower energy orbit. So electron will emit energy to accommodate this lower energy orbit. Secondly, electron will absorb energy when it jumps into higher energy orbit. To understand this, just look over here. Here electron is present in N1, which is a lower energy orbit, and from this lower energy orbit electron will move into the N3, which is a higher energy orbit. So electron will absorb energy. So students, after this postulate, the second defect of Rutherford atomic model, which was atom form the continuous spectrum, was removed, as atom emits energy only while changing the orbit, so it forms the line spectrum instead of the continuous spectrum. Postulate 5. The energy of light emitted is exactly equals to the difference between the energies of the orbits. Here this postulate tells us about the amount of energy released by an electron while changing the orbit, and it is given by the equation delta E is equals to E2 minus E1. Here delta is the difference of energy, whereas E is equals to energy, and E1 is equals to energy of orbit 1, E2 is equals to energy of orbit 2, and if we say E3, then it will be the energy of orbit 3, and if we say E4, then it will be the energy of orbit 4, and so on. Next is the self-assessment exercise 2.1. Before doing this, let me tell you that each orbit has a maximum limit for number of electrons which it can hold. We can represent the shell with letters K, L, M, and N. K is a first shell and it can hold maximum 2 electrons. L is a second shell and it can hold maximum 8 electrons. M is a third shell and it can hold maximum 18 electrons. And if we have a fourth shell over here, then it can hold maximum 32 electrons, and so on. In part A of self-assessment exercise 2.1, we have to draw the Bohr atomic model for carbon atom. Its atomic number is 6 and mass number is 12. Students, here the atomic number and mass number for carbon atom are given, but number of neutrons are not given. So let's first find the number of neutrons. We can find the number of neutrons by subtracting the mass number from number of protons. So here the number of neutrons are 6. We know that the atomic number is equals to number of protons, whereas number of electrons are always equals to number of protons. Now to draw the Bohr atomic model, sharpen your pencils and use compass. In the center of an atom, we will draw the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, we will write 6p for protons and 6n for neutrons. Then we will draw the first orbit, and inside the first orbit we put the 2 electrons, because we know that first orbit can accommodate maximum 2 electrons. After this we will draw the second orbit. Students, we know that second orbit can accommodate maximum 8 electrons, but here we will draw only 4 electrons, because after making the 4 electrons, the number of electrons for a carbon atom is complete. So student, this is the whole story about the Bohr atomic model. His model nicely explains the stability of an atom. It also explains why an atom forms the line spectrum instead of continuous spectrum. Here at the end, I have few questions for all of you. First, write them into your notebooks and then find their answers. This is your homework assignment. Okay students, our today's lesson ends here. Allah Hafiz, stay home, stay safe.